Hello and welcome back to our Africa Cup of Nations daily matchday coverage. I'm James Vazina, and together with me tonight are both Tando Sibia. Good evening, Tando.
Good evening.
And good evening, of course, Karim Balde to
Good
both
evening.
of you. Round of 16 has begun, and in what a way. Let's just take a look at the results that have come through from today. Mali have just beaten Tunisia after an incredible turnaround at the end of the match. Winning on penalties and making their way into the quarter-final, the Eagles will be facing the Lions of Teranga after Senegal earlier today beat Sudan 3-1. Now, we were made to wait for some action, could certainly say so. 89th minute, that was when Firat Shawat scored for Tunisia. Sinayoko scored a penalty in the final moments of injury time to take the game into extra time, and Tunisia missed 3 of their penalties in the shootout. So let's head straight to where that game was taking place and speak to Selena Sykes, who's in Morocco, in Casablanca, for us. Selena, tell us, that was incredible for us to watch this fold here in Paris. What was it like down there? It seems incredible for Malian fans, I can imagine, and of course, some upsets on the other side. Tell us all about how it was.
Well, James, that battle of the Eagles coming out in Mali's favour in the end. It has to be said it was a rather uneventful nearly 90 minutes until that first goal from Tunisia, thanks to Shawat, as you said there, late on, a header from him. And I think the Tunisians would have thought that scoring so late on in the match would have been enough, but it wasn't, with that very dramatic penalty being awarded in Mali's favour, with a handball being deemed to be inside the box. So with Lassine Sinayoko coolly converting the penalty to get the Malians back into the game. Mali, who had to play the vast majority of the game with 10 men, with Woyo Koulibaly being sent off around the 26th minute. A very heroic effort from Tom Saintfiet's men playing the vast majority of the game with 10 men. It was rather uneventful. I don't think there was a shot on target until the 79th minute. Rather lacklustre, uneventful game, very cagey, but all the drama obviously came in the last minute of the 90 minutes, and then in extra time, and the deadlock wasn't broken, and we saw it go to the first penalty shootout of this last 16. It's obviously what all fans dread if they're watching their side. Of course, it's always so nice for neutrals to watch, isn't it? A bit of a nervy shootout with some misses. Obviously, Mali coming out on top of that one, 3-2, with the winning penalty coming from El Bilal Toure, sending the Malian fans into wild celebrations here. They were outnumbered by Tunisians here tonight in the stadium in Casablanca. Although we've heard that a lot of Mali fans will be no doubt partying into the night, but obviously a lot of disappointment for Tunisia fans who will be heading home alongside their team this evening.
Yeah, some Tunisian fans just behind you don't look too upset with what's happened there. Maybe they're pretty happy with how things went tonight. That was a strange one to watch. We were glad that something happened at the end of the game. Karim, you're laughing now, but we weren't laughing for, 89 minutes, were we?
I thought it was a boring game for 87, 88 minutes. But the good thing with football is that we never know what can happen. And the last part of the game was just electric. Even here in the newsroom, for example, we were all watching this game, and suddenly we were cheering for Tunisia or for Mali. But what to say about it is that it's kind of weird, because Mali and Tunisia are used to disappoint each and every one at each AFCON. And
what's a way of describing the teams? But it's a reality.
Yeah, that's a reality. And Tunisia, they were with 11 men versus 10 for 60 minutes of regular time, and then the whole overtime. What did they do on the pitch? Almost nothing. Almost nothing happened. And as soon as Mejbri was out of the field, he was the main playmaker for Tunisia. As soon as he was out, nothing on the offensive side. We have to congratulate Mali, because as their head coach Tom Saintfiet said just after the game, they have a strong defensive block, and we can all acknowledge that. But this is a massive disappointment for Tunisia and for his head coach tonight.
Yeah, this is Mali's win, of course, but it really was going to be Mali's win. Tunisia were down to 10. Mali were down to 10 men within 26 minutes. We had 4 yellow cards within 26 minutes, 1 red, that for Koulibaly on Hannibal Mejbri, and yet Tunisia couldn't take advantage of them. So it's exactly what Karim, you're saying. Tunisia disappoints, and Mali didn't tonight, but it was theirs to win.
Yeah, I think the Tunisian attack was neutralized. So, like you're saying, I think we've all remarked that they had an incredible run, the defense of Mali today. Losing a defender at 26 minutes when you're playing an offensive side like Tunisia, especially when you're facing Mejbri, and also seeing how he was brought down by two defenders and almost getting a second red card for Mali early into the game, then shows you that they did their homework. Tom Sanfeed went and watched with his team of analysts, and they said, this is the man to neutralize. The defenders came out, and that's exactly what happened. Because when he was neutralized, the game changed. There were no opportunities. There was not so much creativity from the offense of Tunisian side. And I think just a special mention to the goalkeeper, Diarra, who then stepped up and really took the term last line of defense and gave it another meaning. He was a sweeper keeper. He came forward. He stepped up for his side. There was a time, I think at around 30 minutes in the first half, he was moving out of the box even to clear the chances that were coming a little bit deeper because he needed to support his defense. So for me, he was the man of the match. He was incredible. 2 stops in the penalty shootout, more during the game. He made the game for the Mali defense. And so if anyone to be congratulated tonight, it's him. And shout outs to the whole Mali side because they did a stellar job tonight.
And you mentioned Tom Sanfeed and the way that he approached this game. He did say going into it that he was ready to play for the 120 minutes, which exactly how it turned out. So he knew what kind of a battle. I mean, I think we all did know that these were two sides who were, it was going to be a tough one.
They were in excellent shape, though. They didn't seem tired when it came to penalty shootouts. They still had their heads up high. They were in the game the whole time, and they never backed down. That's, I think, is some really impressive performance. And I think if anyone is going to be facing Mali after this, that's one thing they have to look out for. They're a very athletic side. Their defenders are very strong and very physical, also quite tall. And so when you have the aerial passes, and you could see that when Tunisia was taking their set pieces, they would go low because you can't lobby it in when you have like half of the defense, if not 3 of the defenders who are like 1.9 meters.
It just doesn't work.
It's not going to work. They're going to clear the shots all the time. And so I think really today, Mali side did their homework, and yeah, it was just so beautiful to watch.
Yeah, Mali won the game physically and mentally as well, because when Tunisia scored that famous goal, we thought that it was game over.
I mean, sorry, we didn't even mention this.
Yeah.
Mali came from behind.
Yeah. They came from behind in the last minute. And like Tunisia had to hold for 5 minutes if we take into account added time. And on the first opportunity of Mali, that was a soft penalty, a poor penalty for Yacine Meria. He's a well-experienced player, a well-experienced defender. He was put in into the pitch during the game because Dylan Brown was injured. But still, he has experience not to do that kind of poor handball, and so it was a clear penalty. I just want to acknowledge that one guy on the Mali side was great, was Gaoussou Diakité. I follow Mali for years now, but I didn't know this guy playing in Switzerland, in Lausanne. That was his first AFCON match tonight, 20 years old. First minute, first action, and with his cross, he created the penalty and Yacine Meria's handball. So kudos to him. And then he managed to achieve his penalty, his shootout at the end. So
and that shot was so beautiful,
yes,
right
exactly.
down the middle. None of the takers
What do you
took
make
it
of
like
those
that.
penalties? Because I mean, we mentioned about the saves, of course, from the Mali side, but Tunisia again on penalties. I mean, it's what cost them as well in the end.
Yeah.
Not the most pretty penalty shootout that we got to see. I'm
It's
sure
a game of depth, and I think Mali, they had it throughout. And I think even the decision making of who to bring on and when, this was a game of subs, the super subs. We saw, even with the substitutions that were made for the Tunisian side, that's where most of the performance was at. Similarly with Mali, and even Karim bringing up Diakité and the changes that he made in the game. So tactically, or even let me not say tactically, the decision making in the substitutions were very crucial because who remained in the game right till the end was also very crucial in the goalkeeping department, the penalty shootouts. Yeah. And I think because of that, then that's where they stood out. I wasn't expecting the performance like that. The missed shots, I think I was also quite stunned, but the good saves was also very beautiful to see.
Well, Mali know who they're going to be facing, of course, now. They'll be facing Senegal next. That was today's earlier game that saw Senegal come from behind as well to beat Sudan 3-1. The Lions of Teranga becoming the first team from today to move into the quarterfinals, thanks to a brace from Pape Gueye and a third from Ibrahim Baye. Senegal get the win they were expected to get. It wasn't a comfortable one, though, at first, neither for them. They were surprised when Sudan opened the score with a cracking goal in, what was the 6th minute? I mean, did we see that one coming? No, we didn't see that one coming either.
We're all surprised by Sudan's goal. That was a complete banger from Amar Ibrahim. But afterwards, Senegal has the mentality to keep the composure, to continue to carry on despite they were led by Sudan, which was a major upset, but for only half an hour. And when they equalized, I felt that nothing could happen to this team. It's a little bit like PSG since they've won the Champions League. You see some games this season in the UEFA Champions League, even if they are led, we know that they will come back.
And it builds this force with them. Let's take a listen to Pape Gueye after the game, just to take a listen to what he had to say, his impression of course, after that brace that he scored today. Here he is.
That goal by Sudan really hurt, especially because I was at fault for it. But when I looked at everyone's faces, I saw serenity. We showed in the match against Congo that we were capable of coming back from behind. That's what we did tonight, so we're very happy.
Ce soir, c'est ce qu'on fait. Donc voilà, on est très content.
I mean, happy with the performance. Of course, they had to do change in their sides. Kalidou Koulibaly was sent off in the last game. He had to skip it this time around. That couldn't really be felt on. I mean, of course, there were the Sudan who got that early goal. But, I mean, Senegal were unmoved really by that. They managed to make it through. 3-1. Huge score.
I think that's when the attack came in and stepped up to where there was a deficit in defense, because I think that's how the first goal was conceded. Defense was a little bit dumbfounded, trying to find their feet, because they lost the marshal of defense, the leader of the group, the captain. And so this is the brains of defense. And so he's out. Where does the solidity come from? And so that's where they were found wanting, but also a shout out to Sadio Mané, because the way that he provided and became the brains of the game, providing the goals, reigniting the game, and that's when they came back into the game, and it was incredible to watch.
And you mentioned Sadio Mané. Just a word here. Sadio Mané has become the man with the most assists at the Africa Cup of Nations after tonight. So 2 assists from tonight. He sets up Gueye, of course, and Baye in the first and third goals. That makes 9 assists at the tournaments over the years, taking over from Yaya Toure. That record.
That's a landmark.
Since 2006, just to tell you. I mean, we've seen, we haven't seen him. I think he's scored 1 goal, hasn't he, so far, Sadio Mané? But he's very much there, setting up his players. And even if he isn't scoring, huge part of the team and shows Senegal going forward. I mean, how are they going to? It's looking good for them as well.
Yeah.
I mean, and they know who they're going to be facing next.
Yeah.
I mean, they're one of the favourites coming into this, and we can confirm that they still are.
Yeah. To go straight to the points, Senegal has 2 teams, because when we look at the squad, and even today's coaching by Papcho, when he put to the pitch, Ibrahim Baye from PSG, he scored. When he put Hadaj Malik Diouf, he delivered an assist. And that was the case each and every time. We talked about Khalid Koulibaly as absence, but there was Abdoulaye Seck. He scored the previous game. So that's why in this squad, there is so much quality inside that I don't see how Mali could win against Senegal in the quarterfinal, but who knows what can happen in Tangiers in the short time. And to come back on the mentality, we listened to Pape Gueye. He scored 2 goals tonight, and he helped Senegal to come from behind versus the Democratic Republic of Congo in the famous game in the Stade des Martyrs back in October. And that's thanks to that, they qualified for the World Cup. So each time they need to overcome a situation, Pape Gueye is there, and he was there tonight. So kudos to Pape Gueye, kudos to Sadio Mané. I was a bit skeptical about his shape before the competition when I attended Senegal's games in November. But now I was more reassured, and with his role as a number 10, it was brilliant, and the second assist from the midfield was even more brilliant. So
it definitely was.
Yeah.
In any case, their opponents, Sudan, can definitely go home with their head held high. I mean, everything they've achieved coming through. For the first time in 14 years, they've reached the knockout round. Of course, they got a win as well. Everything considering what's going on back home. They'll be glad, very, very glad with what they've achieved. That's not it, of course. Coming up tomorrow, 2 more games. First up, Morocco face Tanzania, one of the big surprises of this knockout round. Tanzania, who made it out of the group stage of the competition for the very first time. After that, it's South Africa versus Cameroon, one of the hottest fixtures to come in this round. And let's start with the home nation and head back to Casablanca. Selena, What's it been like over these past days? Is there any tension building up? What's the feel like over there in Morocco?
I think it's safe to say, James, Moroccan fans are feeling pretty confident heading into that match against Tanzania. You can feel, obviously, there's a lot of expectation, a lot of pressure on the Moroccan side to obviously deliver. Most fans obviously expecting them to see their team lift the trophy on home soil, which only be a second time obviously since 1976. Obviously there was that draw against Mali that had some fans getting, should we say, going quite hard on their side. They really was expecting them to probably come out with 3 wins out of the group stages. Others saying, it's tournament football. The Atlas Lions need to be hitting a better form later on. Obviously, there was reassurance again when they got that very comfortable 3-0 win against Zambia. But obviously, I think most Moroccan fans are expecting that the best is still to come from their side. Obviously, as I said, this is tournament football. But everyone we've spoken to here obviously feeling very confident ahead of that match against Tanzania. Obviously, Tanzania being one of the weakest sides that has got through to the last 16, finishing in one of the best third place spots of their group after just getting 2 draws, so 2 points from the last 16. So, yeah, I would say that the overall mood here in Morocco among home fans is obviously one of confidence, and obviously that will be that very impressive atmosphere in the Prince Moulay Abdullah Stadium in Rabat, where I can tell you, James, that the atmosphere inside is quite remarkable. Obviously, it's it's a very remarkable atmosphere, and obviously quite off-putting for the other side, so you have to deal with that sound, that wall of sound of Moroccan fans.
Yeah, and I'm sure that the team will be, of course. That's a huge part of them having the team, having the supporters behind her. The rest of our team in Morocco went to Morocco's training session from today. Let's just take a listen to what some of the players have had to say ahead of that game coming tomorrow. Here they are.
Honestly, the pressure is on from the beginning on, before the AFCON even started here, because of a lot of things. But we have enough players who can handle this pressure. And we hope we can do our job.
Très important de pas sous-estimer.
It is very important not to underestimate the opponent, not to repeat the mistakes of the past.
Refaire les mêmes erreurs que dans le passé.
So we are ready. We've prepared well for this match. We are focused on this first match, this round of 16. We won't start making plans for the upcoming stages of this competition.
Et pas commencer à faire des plans pour la suite de la compétition.
Well, there we have it. The players and the team, of course, confident, but at the same time having to be very, very cautious. Morocco cannot afford to slip up here. I mean, no team can, of course, at this point of the competition, but there's pressure on Morocco to go very, very far in this tournament. And anything else than a clear win tomorrow is going to be viewed negatively, I'm sure.
Of course, and I think even for Coach Regragi's troops, it's very important that they stay in this game. Tanzania, they're not going to be a walkover. Yes, they were defeated 2-1 by Nigeria, but they also managed to get their name on the sheet, and they held them down and almost equalized towards the end of the game. So it's very important that the Moroccans stay in the game the whole time. They also have a reputation of being knocked out by the lesser strong teams, knocked out by South Africa in the last edition of the African Cup of Nations.
Was that a moment where they weren't being cautious enough? Is that why the team is talking about being
exactly?
Cautious,
they know their weaknesses, and I think I'm also impressed that they speak about it openly, to know that sometimes we do lack in certain departments, and it's something we definitely have to work on. What is it? Where do they go wrong? Maybe overly confident and then letting go in the game, letting themselves go. But I do think that the discipline that they have in this edition of the tournament can make them go a little bit further.
Yeah.
I don't want to... I think if Morocco don't perform, Walid Regragui, where's his place there? Because we had, of course, the semi-final in the World Cup, but after that, the slip-up in AFCON.
Yeah.
Is that semi-final... I mean, that's starting to be a bit of a far way back now. And that wave, needs to keep going, surely, if he wants to keep the spot there.
If Morocco is out tomorrow, who knows what can happen? I don't see Walid Regragui staying at his position, even with the World Cup in 6 months' time. But that's why the head coach talked about the AFCON of humbleness. Mm-hmm. As you said, they were beaten by South Africa last time, so humbleness. He he has always repeated it since day one of this AFCON. So he wants to keep the pressure down on his players and to be sure that they are all in a good mindset to face Tanzania, not thinking that they will win 4-0, but just to win the game and go through to the quarterfinals.
And get the job done. As South Africa, Tando, will be hoping to do so against Cameroon. That's not going to be easy. That's going to be a tough one. And we'll be watching all that tomorrow all together. That's it for tonight. And we'll be back tomorrow, of course, to speak more about everything that's happening over in Morocco throughout the Africa Cup of Nations. Do tune in same time tomorrow night after those two games. Good night.